Hello, making an artwork video because I have a couple of thoughts to share, but before I get started with the painting process, I need to completely focus on something that I want to share on YouTube, and that is in relation to the conversations of Jiddu Krishnamurti and Dr. David Bohm when they're talking about reality versus truth. So I don't know how many people have put their minds into this, but they are trying to grasp what it really means to think of reality and what it means to ponder over truth and how truth stands in relation to reality. For most people, this is the same thing, which it used to be for me. I didn't think about it much. Reality is truth. That's what I thought. But, so little by little, it started to become more and more clear to me that reality, which is praised to the highest degree, and which is what science is working with, and philosophy and thinking, and also lots of religions and lots of practices, yoga, kundalini, lots of meditation. All of this is in the field of reality. It's in the field of that what we perceive in this moment. So is that what we perceive in this moment reality, or is it truth? Is it truth, that reality that we perceive in that moment or in any moment? The tree is real, he said. All of those trees are real. In my personal view, they are also truth. So I don't know if I understood them 100% correctly. So maybe you can add your thoughts into this conversation. I would really appreciate it. It would be fantastic. Bill, you should talk to us about this because you have known Jiddu Krishnamurti, and I'm going to send you this video. I hope you're not mad at me because I said that you didn't come back to the message. Well, I can't expect that because you're probably very busy and as an educator, a professor. So I feel very honored if you do talk to me, and but I hope you don't block off anything that I say. I hope you don't approach me or what I have to say with an apprehension, with right up front with some kind of concept about me or what I'm saying, or dismiss it right up front as Pollyanna or something that's just crazy. See, this is what I want to talk to people about. What is reality and what is truth? Are you sure that your reality, that the way you perceive it, is the truth? That's the question. See, when people laugh about someone, or mock them, or bully them, or in some way, or dismiss them, or, my dad is very fast with that. So, and then he cuts off all the conversation. He cuts off all communication with me right up front. It's very sad. It has hurt my feelings many times. But then again, I think about it and I know where he's coming from. He doesn't want this coming near him. He's afraid of it. He's afraid of too much truth. Even though he has books on parapsychology in his shelves, many of them that I was immediately drawn to at age 11. But I think that my dad's reality and most of our reality and most of our conceptual thinking is definitely not the truth. I personally see the trees as truth because, and of course, I see artwork as truth, and the elements, and those rocks, and of course, my papa dog. He's truth. And the energy that comes out of all of those existences is truth in my view. So this may or may not differ from what Jiddu Krishnamurti and Dr. David Bohm understand it as. It may be different to what other people perceive it to be. It is definitely different from how my dad perceives it to be. Truth versus reality. Conceptual thinking is definitely thinking that is coming from culture. It comes from schools. It comes from education. And it is very finite, and it is very stagnated. And because of those characteristics, it can never be truth. Because truth is never stagnated nor finite. Truth is infinite. And in Papa Dog, the trees, and myself and my artwork, there is truth in it. There is truth energy in it. There is infinity in it on an energetic level. Although we all happen to be also in the field of reality, in the field of conceptualizations, and in the field of learning, in the field of being perceived as this or that, and then people theorize around it and so on. They see us, they perceive us, and that's in the field of reality. But there's more about us. There's an energy about us that is infinite, that cannot be conceptualized. So I'm trying to get closer to this, to this type of understanding. And understanding something without the conceptualization, without all these $5 words in philosophy. And I see that people close themselves up very, very much by using all of these words like utilitarianism, and it is very boxed up and limited. So because of this, I will never label myself in any way. I cannot label myself in that way. So because my way of thinking is definitely not linear. It's definitely not conceptual or boxed up in any way. It hangs out way out. It filaments its way out over and over and over out of every box, like an octopus that just squeezes out through the little cage holes and has his arms all over the place. So, and that's what I want other people to do as well. I want people to get out of this boxed up way of thinking, and a lot of people don't realize that they are doing this. So I'm trying to inspire people to get into this perceiving without limit. That would be really, really amazing. Because I know Papa Dog, for example, he perceives without limit. This is a limitless existence. It is like art. It's just this total wellness moment, this wellness in that now moment. And for most of us humans, because we're neurotic, we can't stand being in the now. We have to be planning, myself included. We have to be planning, we have to plan our escapes, literally, escaping from ourselves. We have to plan our adventures, we have to plan our chess moves, we have to plan our plan A, B, C, D, and so on. And we look into the past, and then we think that what we learn from the past is a linear and finite explanation to that what will come in the future. I know a scientist personally, a very famous scientist. His name is Professor Dr. Eduard Pestel. I don't know if you're familiar with this name, but I first met him when I was 5 years old. I believe that's when I first met him, or maybe 4. My dad was one of his students at the university. They became very good friends. They sent me to his wife into a psychoanalytical therapy when I was 5. So it's a quite a strange and crazy life that I have lived, I have to say. And this scientist, he has written several books, and he was a very, very kind and caring person. And I saw something. I first started to ponder over this when I was around 25 or 24. Started to ponder over this because he died from leukemia when I was 24. And I was still studying. I was still in this college situation, college equivalent, it's in Germany. And I started to put these things together, why he died. And it is, I've already had this inkling about it. I already had these thoughts about it. And then I started reading his book, and it was so incredibly bland and depressing. I had to put the book away. And then in 2006, I decided I'm going to read the book from the first page to the last page, and I'm going to really read it very carefully and very critically, with an open mind, but critical. And I wrote a couple of pages because there were a couple of pages open at the end of the book, and I just wrote in it with a marker my own thoughts on this situation. And what I see is very incredibly sad, and this is an example of how of the terrible situation that humanity itself, is finding itself. The way people are trapped in conceptual thinking. So he was trying to explain the future with that what he has learned from the past. This is linear thinking. But he didn't realize it. He was also a Christian. Then he was also a scientist at the same time, and he has encountered the collision between being a Christian and a scientist. It's very, very strange. So I just want to say right off the bat that my parents, my family, they had very few people in their lives who were Christians. And they never talked about their religion. Never. Never, never, never. Unless someone deliberately brought it up. And then they didn't argue with us. So I grew up in an atheist, agnostic home. And everyone, almost everyone around us, including gardener and household help, were all atheists. So, yeah, just wanted to say this so that I don't get misunderstood as being coming from some kind of religious society or something. No, I'm coming from a completely non-religious society. Most people, even in my school, I think there were a couple of Muslim girls there. 2 of them with chadors, which was very sad. But I don't know if there was any Christian, and just most people were completely agnostic or atheist. And the subject was never even discussed. That has started to all happening when YouTube came into existence. So that's when people started to talk about this. But anyway, this Eduard, he had an inner conflict that was so severe. He was torn, literally, physically torn, between his belief system and his science. And he didn't understand that neither his belief system nor his science were based on truth, the absolute truth. See, that's the thing, it's this battle going on between scientists, for example, Lawrence Krauss, getting very angry. I understand where he's coming from. I totally understand him. I love that guy. He's a sweetheart. He's very kind, caring, compassionate, passionate arguer. He wants to help and so on. But I see he's getting caught up in anger. And that is not good for him. So while Eduard, he was a Christian, and he wanted to please his wife, Anneliese, and he wanted to please everyone in that society, and he wanted to please his idea that he had of his God, and he wanted to, that was his concept of being good, so he put that all into one drawer, He put ethical thinking and kindness and that religiosity all in one drawer. Those are completely different coins that cannot be put in one drawer. You cannot put Christian morals into the same file as true caring and true altruism and true love. That cannot be, because true love And true altruism is part of the realm of truth. And religion is not part of truth. Religion is conceptualization. Religion is fear, it is dogmatization, something someone learned from someone else, or yeah, whether it is made out of stories that have happened, or that have been distorted, or that are completely invented. All of this is not only linear, but it is very distorted ideas. And they will be passed on to other people in form of threats. And none of this has anything to do with love or truth. And it ruins people's health. And it ruined Eduard's health. It caused him leukemia. Leukemia is, I don't know if you're familiar with this, but that is an illness where the red blood cells they change their DNA. They become killers, literally. Where the white blood cells become killers to the red blood cells, where the white blood cells start to eat their best friends, the red blood cells. So the red blood cells are those who are responsible for oxygenating our whole body. And it is an extreme tragedy what happened to him. I loved this man, I wanted him to be my grandfather. So I wanted Annalise to be my grandmother. Or I had a good grandmother, but my grandfather was not so nice to me. So, but yeah, Annalise was a very good friend of mine when I was a child. Later on, we collided because of our different perception of living in reality and truth. So, and it was too difficult for her to handle what I'm saying. And it was too difficult for me to handle her not understanding what I'm saying and not accepting it and not be willing to dive into it. And I saw what she was doing to herself by not letting this go, by not letting this old concept go. And that's what I wanted to talk about, is this amazing thing that happened when you let go of these old concepts, of this old understanding of yourself and the world around you, of the stuff that you have been taught, and the twistedness and the stagnated information and all of this. So if we can free ourselves from that, we can also become much closer to each other as friends. I'm not talking about romance at all. Completely forget about that entire concept. That can happen or it doesn't happen. What I'm talking about here is to really get to know someone, whether it is someone who's really old, or whether it is a bird, or a dog, or a horse, or someone who's young and pretty, or someone middle-aged, or anyone, woman, man, transgender person, gay, anyone, someone who's crippled, or someone who is retarded, or someone who has an an unfortunate brain, someone who is even someone who is a psychopath. So, I mean, we have to protect ourselves against someone who's violent. But we should not be closing ourselves off emotionally towards anyone. And that's what I'm hoping to. I'm hoping that humanity will go in that direction. I see a lot of people are trying to do this. And this is absolutely wonderful. A lot of people are going in that direction now because they understood there's a truth about this, what the Buddha taught. There's a truth that sunk into them. There's the truth of what Krishna said, and Vishnu, and the Vedas, and the Gita, and so on. There's a truth that sinks into people. And that truth is that love is what matters. And altruism. And really getting to know someone, and really wanting to get to know someone without an agenda, without, I want to find this gorgeous guy, like James Hetfield or what. I want to have him, that happened to me in 2010. So I want to have him. That's not getting to know someone. That's if I get to know him, which happened later on when I did research on him, then it totally collided with this concept I made about him. So, because that man is very neurotic, okay? I hope I don't get in trouble for saying this, but it's the truth. Someone who shoots bears, someone who shoots mother bears in dens is a violent criminal, but that's what I don't want to do. I don't want to close off those people and dismiss them or something like this. I want to still be there for them energetically as a real friend and not as a fan or groupie, but as a real friend. Want to be there for. I have to protect myself from him. I don't know what he would do to me, if he saw me in person. If he got angry, no telling. I don't know. I don't know what he's capable of. I think he's pretty crazy. So I don't know how. Maybe he's transcended this now. I have no idea, and I have no more need to meet him. But I wish all of these psychopaths and sociopaths, I wish all of them to free themselves from this concept of I need to be tough, I need to be, or I'm proud. I've heard people say they're proud of being psychopath. Okay, well, they will never change that. They will never want to seek truth if they're holding on to this concept of being a psychopath. And I think we should, talk about each other. I think we should talk about, and we should criticize people publicly also, and we should name names. Okay. I think this is very important. All right, thank you. I'm making a video, and we should, and this should not be, someone should not be able to sue someone because of their ego having been hurt, or because someone is publicly talking about someone else. I think it is about time that this discussion is beginning, that people are really starting to get into this and really starting to listen also to each other. I'm not slandering anyone. If someone is a violent criminal, we should have the right to say, hey, wait a minute, this person there is a violent criminal, and I should not be able to get sued for saying something like this. If someone is a rapist and I say that person is a rapist, then I'm not slandering, I'm telling the truth, okay? So when someone is violent, there is a serious problem behind it. And that problem needs to be addressed. And it is about time now that we all address this and we find out, we dig into it, and we find out where this is coming from, why they are doing it. We shouldn't be blocking each other off. And then the people, the worker people, then they will end up, because of our Cold War, our intellectual circle Cold War, then the worker people start to go at each other's throats. Liberals versus conservatives. That's not how it works. You as a liberal, you as a Republican, if you are in the upper middle class or upper income class or intellectual circles, there are some Republicans in intellectual circles too, but they are usually not as Republican, because the more educated you are, the more you see you cannot be a complete Republican if you're educated. You cannot be a complete Bible thumper if you are educated. It doesn't work that way. And if you still are, then there's a terrible collision happening inside of your brain that can cause illness. It can, as it happened with Eduard, because he saw global warming happening already in the 80s. And he wrote a book with someone else about it. And he has prognosed these future things. It's a good book, because even though I criticize, even though I saw the problems, the problematic of the linear thinking in it, but he was putting his mind into it because he cared. He wanted to warn, he wanted to help, within the framework of the Club of Rome. Back then, they still had some people who cared in there. I don't know if there are any caring people today in it, because I contacted Ernest Laszlo, and his assistant only talked to me. Ernest Laszlo could not bother. I had even Ray Kurzweil wrote back to me, but Ernest Laszlo couldn't bother. No, this is too below him. So, but the secretary wrote to me, first very friendly and polite, in a very played way, but polite, as the Germans are, polite, professional, and polite, very professional. But as soon as I brought up, can we address the problem of active sonar? What's happening to the whales? This is my main project that I'm working on, to get active sonar outlawed worldwide, because it makes the whales and dolphins bleed to death internally. They put loudspeakers in the ocean as a form of scanning, topographical scanning. They don't need this thing. That's an outdated technology. They have satellites. They have microwave technology that works much more precisely for everything. But they use this because it's a market perpetuation, because it makes them money. They don't want to quit this production line, this perpetuated production line. They have a permanent customer in the U.S. government. This is the truth of it. This is really happening here. This is what's happening in our reality, and it's not good. And I brought this up to Ernest Laszlo, Club of Rome, and the secretary said, we do not work on those kind of things. My question is then, what do you work on? What good do you do for the world? What good is the Club of Rome? Is it just some kind of who is who get together? Some kind of ego mingling? No, thank you. I'm not interested. Right? So, but at least Eduard cared. But the problem was, he was not aware of the collision between reality and truth. And this collision happened inside of his body, literally. And it was making him sick. So the truth of him really caring and of him warning us and so on. The untruth versus, in collision with the untruth of Christianity, the untruth of the linear thinking of his scientific work as a mathematician and economist, and getting very deep into this type of work, pollution, overpopulation, and so on. And this collision that can cause someone to get leukemia. And I want to use his example so that his suffering has a message to the world and doesn't get lost, doesn't get ignored. That's why I make these videos, because I want to get this message out. I want people to understand that we need to think about this much more actively, that this discussion has to happen, that we need to get into discussion, and you can criticize me, and you can say that if you think I'm wrong, tell me that, okay? Just don't insult me, don't snob me, don't ridicule me, don't tell me I'm just a clown or Pollyanna. Okay? Once you get into it and approach this with an open mind, and don't take offense because a woman is challenging you, or a younger woman is challenging you, and you are an older professor. Or I've seen this so many times, people. I've been through this many times. Can we get over this? Because I have an education in my brain. I'm very well aware. I have read books. I have studied at university. I have really put my mind into it. I have looked into that, what I have learned, into every niche and every corner. I have looked at it from all the way around, from a panoramic view, from above, from underneath, from every side. Okay, I have looked at it from every angle. I want you to do it too. And that's how you come to a better understanding of how these things are interconnected and where the dangers are lurking, and where the cliff is in front of us, and in which direction we do not want to continue to walk. So I want to open this conversation for us. I want to have conversations on Google Hangout. I want to eventually have live conversations. I want people to get into it. And if it's not happening on my channel, then please, someone else open up this conversation and get it started. Oh, Ben Goertzel, for example, could do it. I don't know if he has any time for it, but I know he's interested in the subject. Okay, it's an amazing brain. So, or Bill, or anyone out there, in the philosophy group, if you want to open up this conversation on your channel, I'll be very happy for it. I'll be happy if you get a lot of subscribers and make money even on it. It's not about me. I'm just telling you this conversation needs to get started. We need to pick up from where Jiddu Krishnamurti and David Bohm left off in the late 80s, early 90s, I don't know. They died several years apart from each other. So Jiddu Krishnamurti died in the 80s and David Bohm in the 90s. So I think in 92. So anyway, let's talk about this. I think this is absolutely crucial. It's fascinating, and it will move humanity forward. Okay? So you guys take care. Peace out.